remarks, but there's a common misconception that trucking companies don't want to pay their fair share, and you spoke to that and indicated it's not the case. And I'd like to hear you expand on how the existing and future tolling mechanisms and schemes that we've heard about affect a company like yours, whether that's the positive effects or the negative effects.
Thank you, Congresswoman Davids. And quickly, when I mentioned earlier, YRCW, we pay $25 million a year in tolls. At our company, we're a $5 billion company, so if you look at it from an operating standpoint, that's half of an operating point just in tolls that we're paying. Now, as far as transportation companies paying their fair share, trucks are about 4% of registered vehicles, 9% of miles traveled in the United States, but we pay around 42% of the federal highway user fees. So when I make a case for increasing the fuel tax, that certainly has both barrels pointed at the trucking industry, but we're well aware, just like in the state of Kansas, that 90% of everything that goes into Kansas from a goods use standpoint comes by truck. And we have to preserve this great heritage we have in the nation of adequate infrastructure that unfortunately has been underinvested in over a longer period of time. The best way I can make this point, and we've had a lot of conversation about individual cities, but when we talk about interstate commerce, when one state is forced to take action for whatever reason to put toll gantries on a federal interstate just because they happen to have a few miles of that interstate in their state, and then all users, including my company and many others, are taxed through a very small state that we do very little business in. Those type of situations endanger companies, and it endangers free enterprise because any state that has an interstate running through it could actually have one of these hostage centers where all line haul traffic is going. There's a company that's not here today that went out of business earlier this year, a unionized company based in New Jersey, and in the public statements they made around their closing, they mentioned the tolls in the northeast area of the country where they operate. So I think that's the ultimate example of what can happen if we don't take this seriously and also look at the Highway Trust Fund as an investment in our economy moving forward, and certainly in the free enterprise of the United States.